Ragnarok, the final testimony. The court is in session. The verdict was written before the first word was spoken. This is not a trial to determine guilt. This is the reading of a sentence already passed, carved into the roots of the world tree, whispered by the Norns, and sealed by oaths that could not hold. What follows is the testimony of the end. Not the end of men alone, but the end of gods, the end of order, the end of the world as it was made. In Snorri Sturluson's prose Edda, in Skaldskaparmal, and in the older, stranger verses of the Völuspá, the prophecy of the seeress who spoke to Odin from beyond death, the shape of Ragnarök is laid bare. These are the primary sources. These are the exhibits. And from them we reconstruct the timeline of the final days. Let us begin. The first sign is not fire. It is not the howling of wolves or the cracking of the earth. The first sign is human. Brothers kill brothers. Sons of sisters, men bound by the most sacred kinship, turn on one another. The old laws, the oaths sworn at the thing, the ties of blood and marriage, all of it collapses. This is the axe age, not a single battle, but a condition, a moral winter that precedes the physical one. The seeress names it clearly: brothers shall fight and fell each other, and sisters' sons shall kinship stain. No man spares another. The shield wall breaks not from enemy pressure, but from betrayal within. This is not war, as the sagas celebrate it. This is the war that devours itself. The sword age follows, and shields are split apart. Then comes the wind age, when even the weather turns feral. And finally, the wolf age, when men behave as beasts before the world falls. This is the prelude. The gods watch from Asgard, and they know what it means. The moral order has failed, and when the moral order fails, the physical order cannot hold. Then comes Fimbulwinter, the mighty winter. 3 winters, back to back, with no summer between them. The sun loses its warmth. Its light becomes thin and cold, a pale disk in a grey sky. Snow drives from every direction, north, south, east, west, no longer obeying the order of the winds. The harvests fail, livestock freeze, families huddle in long houses and burn the last of their wood, and when the wood is gone, they burn the furniture, and when the furniture is gone, they burn each other's trust. Fimbulwinter is not just cold, it is the withdrawal of life-giving power. The sun, which once blessed the fields and made the world green, now withholds its virtue. And the people of Midgard, already tearing at one another, grow desperate. This winter is not an accident. It is a consequence. The world was made with oaths. When those oaths are broken, the world breaks. And then, in the endless cold, the sky itself begins to fail. The sun and moon have always been chaste. Since the beginning of time, 2 wolves, Skuld and Hati, have pursued them across the heavens. The sun goddess Sul rides her chariot ahead of snapping jaws, and the moon god Mani flees his own hunter. For ages, they have outrun the wolves. But during Fimbulwinter, exhausted, weakened, they slow. Skuld catches the sun. His jaws close over her light. She is swallowed whole. Hati seizes the moon. The sky goes black. The stars, those distant fires that marked the seasons and guided ships, vanish one by one, snuffed out like candles in a gale. Darkness falls over the 9 worlds, not the darkness of night, which is natural and temporary, but the darkness of the void, the darkness that existed before creation. In this lightless cold, the only sound is the wind, and beneath the wind, a deeper sound, a groaning, the earth itself beginning to shake. The earthquakes start slowly, a tremor, a shifting of stone. But they build, mountains crack, trees are torn up by their roots and flung across the land. The great ash Yggdrasil, which holds the 9 worlds together, shudders. Its branches whip in a windstorm that comes from nowhere and everywhere. The old tree groans, and deep below, in the places where the gods bound their enemies, the fetters begin to break. Fenrir, the wolf, son of Loki, monster of appetite, has been chained since he was young. The gods tricked him into wearing Gleipnir, a ribbon woven from impossible things, the sound of a cat's footfall, the breath of a fish, the roots of a mountain. It held him when iron could not, but Gleipnir was made for a world that obeyed its own rules. When the world shakes, the rules dissolve. Fenrir breaks free. He rises and he is vast. His lower jaw scrapes the earth. His upper jaw presses against the sky. If there were more room, he would open wider still. Fire pours from his eyes. Smoke and flame gush from his nostrils. He is hunger given form and he is loose. At the same moment, the seas begin to surge. The Midgard Serpent, Jormungandr, the world encircler, has lain coiled around the ocean floor since Odin cast him there. He is so vast that he bites his own tail, holding the ocean in a ring. But now he releases his grip. He enters what the sources call Jötunmóðr, giant fury, and begins to move. The ocean heaves, waves as tall as mountains roll over coastlines, ships are swallowed, settlements vanish beneath the flood, and as the serpent advances, he spews venom into the water and the air. The sea itself becomes poison, the wind becomes poison, the sky, already dark, now reeks of death. And in the chaos, a third bond breaks. Loki, trickster, oathbreaker, father of monsters, has been chained beneath the earth with the entrails of his own son, a venomous snake dripping poison onto his face. His faithful wife Sigyn has held a bowl to catch the drops, but when the earth splits, she can no longer stand. The chains snap. Loki rises free at last. The 3 great enemies of the gods are loose. The trial is in motion. Across the 9 worlds, the signals are given. 3 roosters crow. In Jotunheim, the land of giants, a bright red cock named Fjalar crows from the gallows wood. The giants hear it and begin to arm. In Asgard, a golden rooster named Gullinkambi, Goldcomb, crows over the halls of Valhalla. Odin hears it. The Einherjar, the warriors who have died in battle and feasted in his hall, hear it. They rise and reach for their weapons. And in hell, the land of the dishonored dead, a soot-red cock crows. The dead stir, those who died of sickness, old age, cowardice. Those who were denied Valhalla now rise to march. The armies are waking, the convergence begins. From the east comes a ship. Its name is Naglfar, and it is an abomination. Naglfar is built from the fingernails of dead men. For centuries, the unclipped nails of corpses have been gathered and joined piece by piece into a vessel large enough to carry an army. This is why, in life, men are told to cut their nails before they die, so that they do not contribute to the building of this ship. But men are careless or unlucky, and the ship is finished. The flood caused by Jormungandr lifts Naglfar from its mooring. It floats free. There is debate among the sources about who commands this ship. The Völuspá says clearly, Loki steers, but Snorri names another captain, Hrym, a giant of the frost. Perhaps both are true. Perhaps Loki commands the dead of hell, while Hrym leads the giants on a second vessel. The result is the same. A fleet of enemies, born on poisoned waters, sails toward Asgard, and from the south comes something worse. Surtr, the Fire King, rides from Muspelheim with his sons. He is older than the gods. He existed before the worlds were made, and he will exist after they burn. His sword shines brighter than the sun, brighter even than the sun that Sköll devoured. It is a sword of pure flame, and where it passes, the air ignites. Behind him ride the sons of Muspel, glowing figures on horses of fire. They ride north toward Asgard, toward the rainbow bridge Bifrost that connects the worlds. Heimdallr, the watchman of the gods, sees them coming. He has stood at his post since the beginning of time, eyes sharper than any hawk, ears keen enough to hear the grass growing. He has waited for this moment. He lifts the Gjallarhorn to his lips and blows. The sound is like the end of the world, because it is. It echoes through all 9 realms. Every god, every giant, every creature in every corner of creation hears it. There is no mistaking the message. The final war has begun. In Asgard, the gods hold council one last time. Odin, the All-Father, leaves the hall and rides to Mimir's well. Long ago, he sacrificed his eye for wisdom, drinking from this well at the roots of Yggdrasil. Now he returns. Mimir, the wise being whose severed head Odin kept and preserved, still speaks from the waters. What counsel does he give? The sources do not say. Perhaps there is no counsel left to give. Perhaps Odin simply needed to hear one last truth before the end. When he returns, the gods are ready. From Valhalla's 540 doors, the Einherjar march. 800 warriors from each door, 432,000 in total, though some say this number is symbolic, a way of saying more than can be counted. They wear their finest armor. They carry the weapons they died holding. They march beside the gods they served, and they are not afraid. They are the finest warriors who ever lived. They have trained for this day. They will fight more bravely than any mortal has ever fought, and they will lose. The armies converge on a plain called Vigrid. It is 100 leagues wide in every direction, an expanse so vast that only myth can contain it. The name means battle surge, or the place where weapons decide. It is the only field large enough for the final war. From the east, Naglfar bearing Loki and the legions of Hel. From the north, the giants, Frost and Stone, led by Hrym. From the south, Surtr and the Fire Sons, blazing across the plain. From the sea, Jörmungandr dragging his venomous bulk onto the shore and standing alone, vast as a mountain, jaws stretched between earth and sky, Fenrir. The sons of Muspel ride toward Bifrost, the rainbow bridge. It is beautiful, shimmering with color even in the darkness. It was never meant to bear an army. As they thunder across it, the bridge cracks, splinters and collapses into the void. There is no retreat now, no escape for either side. The gods and the Einherjar stand on one side of Vigrid, the forces of chaos stand on the other, and then, with no horn, no signal, no declaration, only inevitability, the battle begins. Odin leads the charge. He wears his golden helmet. He carries Gungnir, the spear that never misses. Around him surge the Einherjar, and they fight with a fury born of knowing this is the end. They do not fight for victory. They fight because the fight itself is all that remains. And Odin makes straight for Fenrir. The wolf sees him coming. Perhaps he remembers the trickery, the ribbon, the binding. Perhaps he simply recognizes the scent of the one who chained him. He opens his jaws, wide enough to swallow the sky, and Odin rides into the darkness. The All-Father, the one-eyed king, the god of wisdom and war and poetry, is swallowed whole. The Einherjar see it, the gods see it. And for a moment the field goes silent, not in shock. They knew this would happen, but in recognition. The first great testimony has been given. The king is dead, but the trial is not over. Vidar, Odin's silent son, steps forward. He is called the Silent God because he speaks rarely, if ever. But silence does not mean weakness. He has prepared for this moment his entire existence. He wears a boot, one boot, crafted over centuries from the leather scraps that men cut from the toes and heels of their shoes. It is thick, reinforced, unbreakable. Vidar places this boot on Fenrir's lower jaw. With one hand he grips the wolf's upper jaw, and then, with cold precision, he tears the wolf's mouth apart. Some versions say he drives a sword into the beast's heart. Others say he simply rips the jaws until they break. The result is the same. Fenrir, who swallowed the king of gods, is slain by the silent sun. Vengeance is immediate. Vengeance is wordless. Vengeance is done. Elsewhere on the field, Thor faces his ancient enemy. The god of thunder has fought Jormungandr before. Once he tried to lift the serpent disguised as a cat. Once he went fishing and hooked the beast, nearly dragging it from the ocean. But always, the encounter was interrupted. Always, the serpent escaped. Not this time. Thor strides toward the serpent, Mjolnir raised. The hammer crashes down once, twice, again and again. The serpent's skull cracks. Venom sprays from its mouth, but Thor does not stop. He strikes until the great coiled body goes slack, until the world encircler is still. The serpent is dead. Thor turns to walk away. He takes one step, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. On the 9th step, he falls. The venom has done its work. It has soaked into his skin, his lungs, his blood. The protector of Midgard, the strongest of the gods, collapses face down in the mud. He does not rise. The earth has lost its shield. Freya fights Surtr with a stag's antler. This is not heroism, this is tragedy. Freya once owned a sword that could fight on its own, a blade that never lost, but he gave it away to win the love of a giantess named Gerda. He traded his weapon for a bride, and now, facing the Fire King, he has nothing. He fights anyway. He swings the antler, he dodges the flaming sword, he fights with everything he has, and it is not enough. Surtr cuts him down. The god of fertility, of growth, of summer's warmth, dies in the shadow of eternal fire. His blood soaks the ground, and Surtr does not pause. He moves on. Tyr, the one-handed god of war and justice, faces Garma, the hound of hell. Tyr lost his hand to Fenrir years ago when the gods bound the wolf. He placed his hand in Fenrir's mouth as a pledge of good faith, and when the wolf realized he had been tricked, he bit down. Tyr has fought one-handed ever since. Now he faces another beast. Garma leaps, jaws wide. Tyr meets him with his sword. They collide, and they tear at each other with savage efficiency. No words, no mercy, just god and hound locked together until both collapse in a heap of blood and fur and silence. They kill each other. The testimony is mutual. And finally, at the edge of the field, Heimdall and Loki meet. These two have hated each other for ages. Once, Loki stole the necklace Brisingamen from the goddess Freya, and Heimdall hunted him down to retrieve it. They fought then, and neither won. Now, at the end of all things, they meet again. There is no record of what they say to each other. Perhaps there are no words. Perhaps they simply recognize that this has always been inevitable. The guardian of boundaries and the one who crosses them, locked in a final, fatal embrace. They fight, blade meets blade, blood meets blood, and when the dust settles, both are dead. The watchman and the trickster, the light and the shadow, annihilate each other. The duels are done. The gods are dead. The Einherjar fight on. They fight because that is what they were made for. They fight because Valhalla promised them this day. They fight with a courage that deserves songs, but there will be no one left to sing them. One by one, they fall. The giants fall. The dead of hell fall. The field of Vigrid becomes a marsh of corpses. And then Surtr, victorious, stands alone at the center of the plain. He raises his sword, the sword brighter than the sun, and he flings fire. The flames spread across the earth, forests ignite, mountains melt, the air itself burns, the fire climbs into the sky, scorching the branches of Yggdrasil, consuming the heavens. This is not war anymore, this is the final sentence. The sun turns black, not because it is swallowed this time, but because the smoke is so thick that no light can pass. The earth, shaking, cracking, burning, begins to sink. The ocean, already poisoned, rises to swallow the land. The world that was raised from the waters by the sons of Bor now returns to the deep. Everything burns, everything drowns, everything ends. The court has given its verdict. The world is guilty, and the sentence is annihilation. Silence, darkness, the void. For a time, though time itself has no meaning now, there is nothing. Only the waters of Ginnungagap, the primordial emptiness that existed before creation. The world has been erased. The testimony is complete, but the sources do not end there. The seeress speaks again. Her voice, which has narrated the destruction, now shifts. She sees something new. Now do I see the earth anew, rise all green from the waves again. The earth rises, not the same earth, but a new one. The waters recede and the land emerges, fertile, green, unscarred. Waterfalls tumble down cliffs. Grass grows thick and soft. An eagle circles high above, hunting fish in clear rivers. The air is clean. The sky is blue. This is not resurrection. This is renewal. At a place called Idavol, the shining plain where Asgard once stood, the survivors gather. Not all the gods died. Some were too young to fight. Some were fated to live. The sources name them carefully. Vidar, the silent son who killed Fenrir. He survived. Vali, another son of Odin, born to avenge Balder. He survived. Modi and Magni, sons of Thor. They inherit their father's hammer, Mjolnir. They survived. Honir, Odin's brother, a god of silence and wisdom. He survived, and he will cast the wooden lots, divination sticks, to guide the new age. And 2 more return, not from the battle, but from death itself. Balder, the shining god, the most beloved of all, who was killed by mistletoe and treachery long before Ragnarok began, he returns from hell. His brother Hodr, who struck the blow that killed him, returns as well. The 2 sit together in peace. The kinship that was stained in the age of axes is healed. They find something in the grass. Golden game boards. Gulnar Töflur. The chess sets they played with in the First Age, before the wars began. These boards symbolize the Golden Age, the time of peace before gold became a curse. Their discovery means the cycle has completed, the new world begins where the old one began. And humanity? 2 humans survived the fire and the flood. Their names are Lif and Lifthrasir, life and life's yearning. They hid in a place called Hodmimis Holt, the forest of Hord Mimir. Some say this forest is another name for Yggdrasil itself, that the great tree sheltered them. They sustained themselves on morning dew through the endless winter and the burning. Now, in the green world, they emerge. From them, the generations of men will spring. Midgard will be populated again. The songs will be sung again. The fields will be tended, the halls rebuilt, the oaths sworn. And above them a new sun rises. Before she was devoured, the old sun gave birth to a daughter. This daughter is no less beautiful, no less bright. She travels the same path her mother traveled, bringing light to the reborn world. But there is one last image, one final testimony. The seeress, her vision fading, sees a shadow, a dark dragon flying low over the earth. His name is Nidhogg, the one who gnaws at the roots of Yggdrasil, who feeds on corpses, who embodies decay, and he is still here. On his wings, he bears the bodies of men. Is this a memory, a glimpse of the past, or is it a warning? Some scholars say Nidhogg survives the fire, that even in the new world, even in the green fields and the shining halls, the serpent of malice endures, that evil is indelible, that the new creation contains the seed of its own destruction, just as the old one did. The seeress does not answer. She says only, "But now must I sink." Her vision ends. The testimony is complete. So what does it mean? Ragnarok is not a story about the triumph of good over evil. It is a story about inevitability, about the wages of broken oaths, the failure of order, and the persistence of fate. The gods fought. They fought bravely. They fought with honor, and they lost. But loss is not the end. The earth rises green. The survivors gather. The new gods inherit the world. Balder returns. Humanity endures. The sun is reborn. And yet, Nidhogg flies. Perhaps the point is this: the world will always break. Oaths will always be tested. Order will always be threatened. And the fire will always come. But after the fire, if you are strong enough, if you are worthy enough, you rise. You rebuild. You begin again. The trial is never truly over. The testimony continues. And the question is not whether the end will come, it will, but what you will do when it does. This has been the complete account of Ragnarök, from the first betrayal to the last fire, from the swallowing of the sun to the rising of the earth. The sources have spoken. The timeline is laid bare. The verdict is given. If this testimony stirred something in you, if it made you feel the weight of fate, the gravity of oaths, the cold beauty of the end, then you are part of the inner circle now. Like this video, share it with those who would understand. And if you want to keep the saga fire lit, if you want to support the work that brings these old truths into the light, become a member. Join the inner circle. Help us hold the line against forgetting. Because the wheel turns, the fire comes, and when it does, someone must remember how to rebuild. The seeress has spoken. The trial is adjourned. But the world continues. And somewhere, in the green fields of the new earth, the survivors are choosing which stories to tell their children. Make sure yours is among them.